Hey guys, Patrick here in Southwest Fort Worth, and I wanted to give a tour of the fish tanks inside the house. So kind of a fish house tour. I haven't done that. Of course, we have the big tank here. And it's interesting, this is where before I had the fish room built, this is the wall that I had the tanks on. I had the fish room built and I thought, well, I'm not gonna have any more tanks inside the house. Well, the addiction is real, and that didn't last long, where it came that I have filled up the tanks inside the fish room and needed more room. And so now we have tanks inside the house, but I want to make those tanks. The tanks in the fish room are functional. These are kind of more showish tanks. This one not so much, because I've got some of these Turkana jewel cichlids in here that I had to make this basket with spray insulation on the bottom and some netting that I had at Walmart just to kind of isolate them, because they were messing with these. They were in this bottom tank, and I was noticing fish had some bitten off parts of their fins, and it was those jewels. So let's talk about this setup though. This what I call I call it the Triforce on my app, in which I have the lights on timers, and I'll talk about the timer lights too. But I do have Wi-Fi outlets for this set of tanks that I call Triforce. It's actually 4 tanks. Well, 3 tanks in this tub that I'm going to put a breeding pair of angels in. And the way that it works is, if you look down here at this, look down here at this bow front, and you can see this pump, and that goes and pumps water through this Cascade canister filter. I had it plugged in. It wasn't giving it enough, wasn't pulling enough water. And so it's always easier to push water than pull water. So I put in that submersible pump, and it pumps water up into, and you can see the spray bar there. And then that, and this tank, I had nothing in it. It was getting a bit of algae, and so I put a bunch of, you see right there, these super red Placos, and they are just going to town on the algae. And it's almost all off the glass now and off of this PVC. There was some on the PVC, and they're cleaning up the algae on the gravel now. So I'm just letting them go to town. They're having a great time. Anyway, the PVC overflow here, if you look back, you can see that it goes out and tees off. And part of it goes to this tote. Guys, if you're ever in a bind, you're needing another tank, you don't have a lot of money, these work great. You can just go to the Walmart section or Home Depot and get some of these plastic totes. They hold water perfect. And you can see right there, I just drilled out the tote to have an overflow, and you can see it right there. It overflows into that hang on back filter. You see it go right there. It flows down in. And the other part, where it comes from the top, goes right here. Another hang on back filter. Goes on in here. And then it's got a built-in overflow that has 2 pipes coming. There's like 2 pipes right in the back of that black part, and I went and I cut a hole in the stand to allow the pipes to come down. They come down here, and then they go into this floating basket These baskets you get at Lowe's. I'll put a link in the description for a lot of this stuff. But it goes in there. And then I've got some lava rock and other stuff. And then it all starts all over with that pump again. I always like to plumb tanks together because, again, the more water volume you have, the less mistakes are going to happen. It's just there's a lot more room for error when you have more water, and so you can catch stuff sooner. It's just easier to maintain too. Instead of individual tanks, these units, it's almost treated as one system, so one tank. So you can see these angels that are just growing quick in here. I also have another video where I talk about the stand, building the stand. And then when we look down here in this bow front, we got some red swordtails and some grow out Odessa barbs and some Placos. These I have these box filters here, and every one of the box filters is being filtered by one of those USB pumps. And they've been going for 3 or 4 weeks now. I've had this system going. So these are the tanks in the dining room. All right, we're going to go ahead and come on over and take a look at the tanks in the living room. So we've got 3 tanks to look at in here. And this one is just it's an interesting tank too. It's a 4-foot tank, just like you would see a 55, but it isn't as wide as a 55. So I think it might be like a 40 or 45 gallon. It's just thinner, and it's got some thick glass on it. It's a cool tank. And in it, I've got a bunch of tiger barbs that most of them I bred because I wanted a tiger barb tank. So this is the tiger barb tank. That one freaking out. He's got a weird spine, that one, but still eats. Anyway, this is the tiger barb tank. I plan on putting 2 more tanks in this corner. It's coming. This one's my favorite, so we'll do this last. But let's look at this 46 bow front. Bunch of neon tetras in it. And my super red breeders that are always producing some super red Placos for me. You see some of the fry right there. There's another male right here, big male. Just a water change on this one tonight. And that is the bow front. This one, a lot of them I'm going to have at the school. It's got this cool thin LED, and there's no CO2 or anything. People always ask, there's CO2 on this? No. Look at the thinness of the light on this, and I'll put a link on this. I got these off eBay. But it's a really cool light, and I constantly have to trim this tank. So I feel like I just trimmed it. I got to trim it again. Alright, let's go on to my favorite, which I featured before, but it's I need to do water change on this tomorrow. But it's the rainwater rimless tank. I love the way some of the moss grows in this softer water. That is the rainwater. Inside here we get a bunch of cardinal tetras, ember tetras, various Corys and Placos, some Epistos, and my favorite German blue rams in here. So there you go. That's the fish house tour. Tanks inside. I'll get an updated fish room tour here shortly. School's back in session, so my schedule's pretty tight, but we'll get one here shortly. Thank you guys. Subscribe if you're not subscribed, and have a good one.